Welcome in. Welcome in. Good afternoon, mate. How are you? Just got to change a few things around here, really. We've got a few edits to make. I'm just going to change them as well. But yeah, I hope you're well. I hope you're all well. Just making some amendments to the live, and we should be good to go. We should be okay now. Yes, I think we're flying. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good afternoon from Antequera, Spain. Yes, Michael, how are we? Hope you're doing well today, mate. It's a pretty. There's been a few interesting moves. Obviously, Vulfur was confirmed earlier. Always nice to see. I always like seeing those confirmations come through, and it's always nice to see the signing videos as well because he genuinely seems like he wants to be there, which is obviously what Wolves are looking for at the end of the day, and every team should be looking for as well. Hi, Con, I love the channel so much. You have great football insight. I really appreciate that, Little Maple Bakery. Thank you very much for that. That's a really nice thing to say. Thank you. I'm glad that I can provide some sort of information as well, hopefully to yourself and to many others. That's the aim of the channel. So I do hope you do enjoy. I'm just going to put a quick tweet out as well to let a few more people know we're live as well, because sometimes people don't have the notifications on, so they may not see the content as some of you do. And as quickly as some of you do. So I'm just going to go and quickly notify people of us being live, because I think that's pretty important, to be honest. I don't think I'll be doing my due diligence, if I wasn't. So yeah, welcome in. I hope you're all doing well on this this Saturday afternoon. Not too late. I just thought it'd be quite a nice time to go live, really, to hopefully get sort of a few people in. Up the Wolves, indeed, mate. Indeed. Welcome in if you're just joining as well. Feel free to ask anything. It doesn't have to be Wolves related. It can be Premier League related if you're not a Wolves fan. It can be absolutely anything, really. And yeah, just feel free to get involved. That's the main thing, getting people involved and interacting. That's what these lives are all about. So welcome in. Welcome in. I'm just going to mute those notifications actually as well quickly while we're here. Are we lagging today is the question. We did lag the other day. I don't think we are today, which is nice. Have you heard anything on incoming on Sanchez or anyone else? Not at the moment, no. The Sanchez stuff is... People keep saying it's advanced a bit further. For me, it hasn't. The reports are very much a sort of rinse and repeat and changing the words, really, at the moment. So yeah, there's not a hell of a lot of difference, really, in what's being reported now to what was being reported a few days ago. No, you're not lagging. Brilliant. I was lagging the other day, so that's the main thing. That's the main thing. Let's just have a look. Not getting any lag at the minute. Brilliant. That is great news. Absolutely brilliant news. Wolves away indeed, mate. But yeah, so great. Right. If anyone's got any questions, any queries, anything they particularly want to discuss in this live, please let me know. It's always nice to interact with the comments, really. So yeah, I think probably, it's probably a good place to start on the sort of Sanchez stuff, really. Now, obviously, he was linked a few days ago. I think it might have been yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Linked yesterday. The stories that people are putting out there are almost saying that it's advanced. It hasn't really advanced anymore. People are just sort of rephrasing the same old stuff, to be honest. So there's not too many differences from yesterday and today. Has Silva gone yet? Not yet, mate. No. He was spotted, I believe, in Birmingham Airport. Whilst the squad were also in Spain. So yeah, there is that. That's why I think it's probably going to advance. And out of those forward options at Wolves, I think he's most likely to go, mainly because ultimately he's, it just feels like him and Wolves are never going to work. Now, I'm not saying he's a terrible footballer. I don't think personally it makes any sense to keep a player around that has actively made it clear in the past, really, that he doesn't really want to be there and has no real interest in staying around. And obviously, you can't blame him with some of the sort of aspirations and stuff like that have sort of, caused it. But ultimately, I think for him and the club, I think it's the right time to cut ties with him personally. Thanks for being so responsive on your videos. No, I appreciate that, mate. I do try to interact with every comment. Sometimes if there's videos that people comment on like 2 or 3 days late because they haven't seen them, I might miss them. But like I say, I'll do my best to go back and hopefully pick up on them and sort of interact with them as well. So do you think it's more likely than not we will get Sanchez? For me, I think it's less likely that Wolves get him than not personally. And that's not me being negative. As you lot know, I'm very sort of optimistic. But yeah, I think it's one of them really. Yeah, it's one of them really. Yeah, I just don't see why he wouldn't go to Napoli, if you know what I mean. And plus, I think he's sort of made it clear that he's holding out for Napoli to go back in for him. So yeah, I think it's weird, really. This is a lovely comment from Liam. What a lovely guy. It's obviously not the Liam Keane. If it is, I'll be very surprised, but it's clearly not. What a lovely positive comment on this fine Saturday afternoon. I appreciate that, mate. I appreciate that. It's a lovely fella. Why aren't we looking to move Hwang on? I don't know, mate. I think I always said, and I've always been quite sort of clear on my stance, that I think last season was the right time to cash in on him. Obviously, didn't really contribute too much to the campaign last season, and obviously the £20 million bid was there. So, I think it's very hard for Wolves to get £20 million for Hwang now. So while his stock was high, I think it would have been best for them to cut ties with him really, and to make some money on him. But ultimately they haven't, and they've kept him around. So yeah, I think it's weird. The Hwang stuff as well is, how much do you get for Hwang? Let me know in the comments what you think. I don't think Wolves will get anywhere near 20 for him now, though. Personally, not this summer, like they did, like they could have done last summer from Marseille. So Vulfur is in. Yeah, it's a really good deal, mate. Really good deal. The fee, really, really good as well. Really happy with it. I'm not sure if there's any sell-on clauses. I think there might have been a 10% in it, but I don't think there was a sell-on clause. Which again, really good deal, especially for the fee. So yeah, generally that's yeah. $12 tops for Hwang. Yeah, I think that's probably fair, mate. To be honest, 10 to 12, I was thinking somewhere in around that, in that range. Really, I think that's probably about right. Like I said, I don't think you're going to get that much for him, really. Does he start? Who start? Vulfur? Yeah, surely. I don't see why Wolves would. I don't see why Wolves would bring him in and not have the intention of instantly starting him. Equally, though, I think it's really interesting that, again, I think his injury record's one thing that I think is really good about Wolfe. Obviously, he's never been injured currently to date, so that's something to sort of look at. But equally, nothing saying he doesn't get an injury. But yeah, for me, I think Wolfe comes in and starts straight away. I don't think that's a real doubt. Obviously, he's only going to really have one pre-season game until the season starts. But I think it'll be nice. I think obviously the Celta Vigo game is the one he'll be involved in. I'm loving your content, though. Listen to Nate says, kudos to you. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Thank you, mate. I'm also surprised Wolves done it so fast. Thursday it broke. It's already confirmed. Normally Wolves take a while to get deals done. Exactly. That's been the issue in the last few weeks, really, hasn't it? They haven't closed deals quickly enough. So it's definitely a positive. Definitely. It does seem that the penny is dropping. Yeah, it does seem that way. Now that Vulfur is here, does Bueno stay now to fight for playing time or move on? See, it's an interesting one. I saw Concept Scouting and Dave speak about it on the Talking Wolves podcast yesterday. Bueno is one of them that you could command, I reckon, a decent fee from, because, like I say, he had a decent season in the Netherlands and obviously playing the Champions League and stuff like that, and was playing regularly for them. So I think Wolves could get a decent fee for Bueno. But yeah, it's it's a weird one. I think they could get a decent fee for him, but I just don't see why they'd let him go. I mean, Rodrigo Gomez can play off the left as well, so maybe. I think if the fee's right, I think Wolves would potentially open up to selling him because, like I said, I do think Rodrigo Gomez can play there. And currently, if Wolves bring in a right-sided wing-back and they've got Herver there and Lima's also still there currently, it looks like he might go to Wrexham. But, yeah, I think it makes sense for Rodrigo Gomez to be that backup on the left side. So potentially Bueno moves on. For the right fee, I think they'd consider moving him on and having Rodrigo Gomez as that backup, really. I think we sell him as good value for him and have Rodrigo as backup. Yeah, that's the thing. His stocks are really high at the minute. Not ridiculously high, but his stocks are the highest that they've been in his career so far. So again, could you capitalise on it? Probably. But again, there's not a lot of fullbacks. I think he'd really suit Spanish football. But, I think he'd really suit going back to Spain and suit it over there. I think he'd really suit that style of football. I don't think in terms of a Premier League fullback, I don't think there's many clubs that would look at him because, like I say, he's a very technical footballer. But in terms of his physical stature and his ability to defend crosses and his ability to generally just defend in general against quite physical players, I don't think that's his biggest strength. So I think he'd suit Spanish football or Portuguese league. I think he'd do well as well. So somewhere perhaps in and around there, I think he'd play really well. Again, equally, he could go back to Eredivisie, but the fees aren't always ridiculous in terms of incomings in that league. So do you know if Wolfe can play tomorrow night or will it be against Celta Vigo? I'd imagine it would be against Celta Vigo, to be honest. I wouldn't have thought he'll play tomorrow night. I wouldn't have thought he'll even... Will he fly out? I'm not sure. He might do, but I wouldn't see much point in him flying out personally. I would look to replace Sasa as a priority personally. I mentioned during the week that he's a great shot stopper, but his gamesmanship of service is really poor and a call for real concern. See, for me, I've been a big critic of Jose Sá, and he's obviously improved since Vitor Pereira's come in. But again, I do think he's one that I don't think they'll replace him this summer because there's still too much that needs doing on the outfield side of things and on the depth side of things. But I think in terms of in the next 18 months to 2 years, he'll be someone they look at and move on, you'd imagine. There was like a few rumours about him about him commanding around 20 million. That's what Wolves want for him, which 20 mil for Jose Sá is a really, really good fee, in my opinion, especially for Wolves. It's a really good fee. Not for people buying him, but definitely for Wolves to get. I think we look for homegrown goalkeepers, which solve two problems. You've got a homegrown goalkeeper in Sam Johnston. No, in all seriousness, surely he's going to go this summer. I think about 8 million quid, which, to be fair, would be a good deal for Johnston, to be honest. I know you're signing for 10, but equally, 8 million's fine, isn't it? I think for a keeper of his quality, 8 million's actually, if anything, quite impressive. But yeah, I think the thing is, the issue is there's not that many great homegrown goalkeepers. I'd look at Michael Cooper, but Sheffield United are going to run a massive fee for him, definitely. Goalkeeper's not a priority yet. I agree. As I said, I think it'll be the next 18 months to 2 years. They'll start focusing on a keeper. And I do think he will be replaced. And I do think he is quite one of those positions in the current starting 11 that are easy to improve on. So, yeah, I do think it'll be looked at some point, whether it's now, whether it's in 18 months, whether it's in 2 years, who knows? But I do think he will be moved on at some point. Is the Guedes deal happening? Because people were saying it was agreed, but then he played against London and scored. Yeah, the Guedes deal apparently has fell through, or there's something going on with it. Apparently, it's not as close as people were reporting at first, which is very interesting in itself, really. But yeah, apparently there's not really too much going on with the Guedes stuff. It looks like he's not going to be moving. However, though, I do think he will move somewhere. I just don't think he will move to Sociedad. I mean, the fact that he's on 4.6 mil, per annum, he's Wolves' highest earner, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or he's definitely up there. He's one of the highest earners at Wolves. Again, I think he's on 90 grand a week. So, yeah, it's pretty ludicrous, if you ask me. But, yeah, I think he could be moved on, definitely. I do think he probably will be moved on still, but just whether the Sociedad thing goes through or not, which I don't think it probably will now. I've seen a lot of Valencia fans wanting him back as well, but they've been asking for him back ever since they sold him, to be honest. So I don't know how much stock to put in that. I don't see us getting Sanchez. I think it's unlikely, mate. But again, I think at this point, if you're not, I think if Napoli don't go in for him, currently as it stands, I think Everton were actually in for him earlier today. But as it stands, it's Wolves and Everton. So again, it does feel like agent talk, and it does very much feel like they're trying to drive the price up to get what they want for the player, for the agent, and for the club. But yeah, I think it's unlikely, but I'm not going to completely rubbish it, to be honest with you. Just landed into Girona. Match prediction for tomorrow. Nice, mate. Very, very nice. Girona have got a relatively decent side. Obviously, they weren't nowhere near the level they were the previous season. But I'll go 2-2, mate. Why not? Seems a lot of agent talk. Could be a 2.0. Yeah, it could be, mate. It could be. It definitely does feel agent-driven. 100%. I'll agree with you on that. 100%. To be honest, I can't argue with that. We need what do you need? What do you need? But yeah, I think 2-2, mate, as a prediction. If I had to give one, I think. Just because I won't back Wolves to lose. I've got to be a bit optimistic. That's the whole point, really. I'm not overly optimistic, but we need a right wing back, a centre half, a couple of wingers. Love the channel. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. The wingers thing's interesting because obviously Vitor Pereira plays 10s, and he signed for Lopez, who's a 10, who I think will probably play off that right-hand side eventually. Obviously, he's left-footed, so you'd like to think he'll play off that right-hand side. Although Jean Arias' best football's played on the right, so this is the interesting thing for me. Does he adapt the system? I'm not too certain, but I do think opening game of the season, I think Menezes will still play in that right 10 position, to be honest, because I think Arias will play a lot of football off the left this season. I really do. Despite obviously his best football coming off the right. I just think that the signing of Fer Lopez seems like a strange one if Arias is going to play off that right-hand side, if you know what I mean. But yeah, centre-half, definitely. Left-footed centre-half, massively, in my opinion, mate, definitely. A player that Wolves should be looking at. And obviously, Renan looks like the one that they are. They've been after Renan for a long time, especially ever since Vitor Pereira come in. So that's the most likely link at the moment. But again, I don't think it's particularly ridiculously likely either. But you never know. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Emily, as well. Welcome in to you. Any news on Josh Brownhill, says Neil? Not at the moment, mate, no. Brownhill, I believe, has been offered a long-term contract at Leicester, though. So that's the only news on Brownhill, full stop. But it's not obviously Wolves related. And to be fair, I could probably see him going to Leicester because it's quite... He suits the Championship and he can play at the Championship comfortably and be one of the best players in the division in that sort of 10 role or advanced 8 role. So I think he'd suit Martí Cifuentes' football as well. And like I say, he's been offered a long-term deal at 29. So for him, it probably makes more sense to go down to the Championship again, to be honest. But that's just my opinion, really. We also need a backup to Larson. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, Arias can play as a 9. There's Collabs still at the club, Hwang's still at the club, Fabio's still at the club, Guedes still at the club. As it stands, I think probably 3 of them 4 will go, to be honest. But yeah, I do think a backup to Larson would be good, and yeah, something that Wolves definitely still should look at to an extent. It just depends on outgoings again because there's still a few players that need to go. Wouldn't be too disappointed with 2-2. Love the channel, by the way. Thank you, Freddie, mate. Appreciate that. Enjoyed your own, mate. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will enjoy it. I'm sure you probably already are enjoying it, to be honest. You think Adams would come back to us over Forest? I love him back. I don't know, mate. I don't know if Adama would come back. Probably not, because when he was here, like ultimately, he was still appreciated. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of he was never like ridiculously rated highly by most people. Almost a steamboat with no driver, but a speedboat with no driver. Sorry, so I don't know. I don't think he would. I think for him it's a no-brainer to go and play under Nuno again, especially at Forest. But now when Doyle's gone to Forest, I don't see that happening either, to be honest, mate. Hi, Connor. Have we learnt nothing about bringing in players who really do not want to be at Wolves? Guedes. Cutrone, I think you're on about. There has been a consistent line of that, but also you have to think some of the wages and stuff that Wolves were offering at that time was appealing as well. And obviously there was a big Portuguese contingent there, so another reason for Guedes to come. And obviously Wolves were after Guedes for a long time before they did sign him. So for him, it probably did make sense because he was wanted ultimately, and every player wants to be wanted. And obviously 90 grand a week, he's not going to turn that down. Why do we put a price on Larson and not just say he isn't for sale? That's a good point, mate. That is a good point. I think the club have obviously done it to show that they're not, ultimately how much they're not willing to sell him for. They're not willing to sell him. But equally, yeah, with deals like that, I'd rather, from a neutral perspective, I'd rather Wolves just went, do you know what, he's not for sale. Which, yeah, it's an odd one, but it is what it is. It's such a Wolves thing to do, lose all the preseason, then go and beat City. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. To be fair, that would be it would be quite funny. Wouldn't mind Mane to be given a chance. Yeah, I think it's interesting with him, isn't it? How much football we're actually going to see him play next season. I'd like to see him get a chance. But he ultimately can't start every week, especially not at that age. It's not fair on the player either, really. Hi Connor, I always come to your channel for Wolves news. Thank you for your high detail analysis in your videos. It really helps me understand the new players. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Ryan, mate. I really appreciate that. That is a lovely comment, mate. Thank you. I hope you all do enjoy the content. That's the whole point of it. So I'm glad to see you do, Ryan, mate. That does mean a hell of a lot. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that a hell of a lot. I wouldn't mind Raul back for a couple of seasons. You're not wrong, to be fair. Obviously, I think, has he extended his deal or has he got 1 year left on his deal? I can't remember. No, he extended, didn't he? It was him, Harry Wilson and Adama Traore all extended. But Traore's obviously extended and potentially they could get value out of him extended now. If he goes to Forest, which I don't think he will personally. Every player's got a price to an extent, yeah. But I think with when it's your best attacking player by some distance, it's quite a risky strategy in my opinion. But yeah, Newcastle are interested in Jorgen. Yes, they are, mate. I did just briefly touch on that. I don't think there's much legs to it, especially with the Sesko stuff that's come out earlier, saying that he's pretty much given his priority to Newcastle. Hi guys, subscribe and like. Thank you, Adrian, mate. You're doing the God's work for me there, mate. I really do appreciate that. I don't probably say that enough. I do say it at the end of my videos and sometimes at the start, but I don't say it on these lives enough. So thank you for that, Adrian, mate. I appreciate it. Where do you think Wolves will finish? Currently with the squad, 15th, 14th, 15th, something like that, maybe. And then if Wolves address all the positions and the depth that they need to address, 12th, 13th, maybe 11th. But yeah, currently 14th, 15th. I think most Wolves fans would take that at the moment, personally. Yes, Paul, they are indeed, mate. They are indeed. Genuine question, mate. Why do you want to talk about Wolves? I thought you supported Liverpool. Yes, mate, I do. I do support Liverpool. Like I said on my previous live, I'm in that sort of sweet spot at the minute because I've got such a good Wolves following and I've sort of brought it over with me from TikTok as well. And I know so much about Wolves and have grown up sort of around it, whether it's family, friends, going to games, social media, people in the football industry, journalists, stuff like that. So generally, just got a big interest in Wolves. And obviously, I think people like to hear my opinion because I'm not emotionally invested in the club per se. So it's nice to have an opinion that perhaps when people, because when people are emotionally invested in something, they look at it with a bias or people maybe might be more naturally negative or more naturally positive towards their club. So for me, it's a neutral perspective that I think people value hearing because there's not a lot of people that get to hear a neutral opinion on Wolves. Because let's be honest, they're just a club that aren't covered anywhere near enough in the media. Let's be honest, and it's been that way for numerous years. I know my family have been frustrated at it for a long time. So yeah, that's why really, mate. Hope that answers your question. Great channel, mate. Nice in-depth analysis of players, etc. Keep it up, brother. Thank you, mate. Working, I appreciate that. Yes, Kian, how are you? Hope you're well. First of all, finally getting the hands out of the pocket. You're so knowledgeable, fella. Brilliant. Keep up the good work. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. I think we'll sign 3 players before the Celta Vigo game. So the Celta Vigo game's on the 9th. I'll go for 2. Is it Praje? I'm not sure if... I haven't seen you before, I don't think, as well in my comments and stuff. So it's nice to see new faces and new people. Don't you think you want to branch out? There's so many other teams that can be represented through someone like you. Fulham, Brentford, you know what I mean, can make you grow a lot bigger. Yeah, Liam, I have done podcasts with other fans, mate. I've got a lot of other fans of clubs and influencers from clubs and football fans of other clubs that I just haven't uploaded yet. And also, I don't know if you've realised, but I do upload other teams' content, mate. So let me just go to my latest videos. Obviously, a lot of them are Wolves heavy, but whenever I also put out videos about other teams, Wolves fans don't watch them as much, so they don't share them. And obviously, a lot of you are Wolves fans, so you don't naturally watch them as much. So as you can see, I did a Villa one there. I did a Fulham one literally the day before. The day before that was a Brentford one. And And then, going all the way back, there's Liverpool, Chelsea again, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. A video that did really well about Liverpool and PSG and how they influence their transfer strategy, looking at it from a different perspective. PSG again. Speaking about Bournemouth of Dean Huijsen, the Merseyside derby, Tottenham. So yeah, there is a range of teams that I've covered, mate. You just probably don't see them as much because Wolves fans tend to watch Wolves videos. They don't watch much else. So you probably just don't see them as much. Really enjoying the videos and the way you break down the players' stats. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I'm glad I could offer a bit of insight that perhaps you might not have seen before. So yeah, thanks for that, mate. 2 more signings. I think 2 as well. Do you actually think there's another 3 or 4 signings coming through? I think before the end of the window, there will be 4. That's my prediction. 4 more on top of what's already come in. I do still think there'll be a lot more outgoings, though. Obviously, I think Fabio will go. I think Hwang will probably go, potentially go. I think Guedes and Fabio are the 2 more nailed-on ones to go out that front line. So them 2 will be gone at least, in my opinion. And then, yeah, I think 4 players before the end of the window for me. Yeah, spot on, Paul. Thank you for the nice comment as well. Great work at the end. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Everton going in for Sanchez. I believe so. Yes, mate. Very, very interesting. Come out this morning, didn't it, about Everton going in for Sanchez. Again, I probably think that's agent-driven as well, to be honest with you. Do you watch much EFL football? Yes, Kean, mate. When I was at university, I did a lot of my I covered a lot of different leagues to the people that covered. I did a lot of different leagues to the people that covered the Premier League, really. So I did the Eredivisie, I did Liga Portugal, I did the Championship, League 1, League 2, the National League of AFC Telford as well. I did the social media, ran the social media accounts for AFC Telford as well. So yeah, covered a lot of football, mate. That's also on top of that, of course, Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, Liga, and all of them really, mate. I watch a hell of a lot of football. I'm a bit of a nerd like that, but that's just my way of doing things, really, and I enjoy it. So, do you think we'll get Juan Lu, or do you reckon it's just agents trying to force a Napoli move through? I think that's the case, Lucas, personally, mate. I'd love to know your take on it, though, mate, as well. Telford, mate. Telford in and around there, mate. That's where I grew up. So I did live in Liverpool until quite literally today. So, yeah. Back closer to home now. It's Project. Great channel, Connor. Thank you, mate. I appreciate the kind words, honestly. What a nice thing to say. Good videos, mate. Thanks. No worries, Ray, mate. Glad I could hopefully bring a bit of joy to your day, really, and a bit of insight. Need a forward to back up Larson, a right back and a midfielder is needed. Midfield depth is key. That's actually arguably the most important one. Midfielder and right wing back, definitely 2 most important positions. And then the forward backup should be something they look at. But I do think a left-sided centre back is something that Wolves should be looking at as well, to be quite honest. And it looks like Robert Renan is that option, but whether they get it done is another thing. I see what you mean. I've been watching your TikTok since like 2K followers. So good to see you. So good to see you here now. You should collab with Wolves creators like Joshua and Wolves or Tyler. Very sound guys. Yeah, I've got a lot of Wolves creators that I'm going to be chatting to in recent weeks, mate. I'm doing the Content Creators Cup with Tyler. So I know Tyler quite well. I did a podcast with Tyler the other day as well. That probably will be coming out soon. And then I'm going to speak to the likes of Dan from the Wolf Pack. We're going to get the Wolf Pack guests as well and chat to them. And yeah, just generally Harry as well. Going to speak to Harry as well. So yeah, we're going to speak to a lot of other Wolves creators and hopefully create some good content, mate. Hopefully. Sorry for all the questions, but what's your plan with the lives? Watch alongs, previews like the United Stand vibes, or just for fun? I just like the debates and the chats, really, to be honest, Emily. It's quite nice to sort of have conversations with people, really, and yeah, it's just nice to have chats with people and hear people's opinions. I just like the interaction, really. Maybe watch alongs in the future might be something I explore. Could be good. People might enjoy that. If people enjoy that, then fair play. But I think obviously watch-alongs are mainly emotional. That they tend to do well because people are emotionally invested in the side. And me, I'm not per se emotionally invested in terms of I'm not a fan. Although I do want Wolves to win every week, other than when Liverpool play them. But yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe in the future, previews definitely. Going to be chatting to fans of the other clubs as well. so Wolves fans can hear the fans of the other clubs, how they're feeling about the game and stuff like that. So yeah, just generally a lot of sort of stuff really. What's your thoughts on the Portuguese league? I like it, mate. I think it's one of the most underrated leagues in Europe. Equally, there are a few things that people are throwing around, like Gyökeres won't do it at Arsenal, but yeah, he just will. I just feel like he just will. So yeah, I like the Portuguese league a lot. There obviously is the Darwin Núñez case studies and players that have come from there that haven't worked, but ultimately I like the Portuguese league. The technical quality in that league is outrageous. Yeah, true, Ricky. You're not wrong, mate, to be fair. We're so desperate for some midfield depth. Watching Minetzi and Torreira there for the final minutes was painful. You are not wrong, mate. That was just a painful game in general. I think we can compete against City at home, first game of the season, and the fans are going to be up for it. Yeah, the fans have got to be up for it, and they always will be. It's first game of the season, of course, and everyone wants to see the new signings play, and everyone wants, there's going to be that buzz around the club, hopefully, first game of the season, and hopefully a few of the numbers are through the door again as well. So I think probably 4 before the end of the window. So yeah, we probably need a left 10 as well if Hwang or Guedes leave, because our other options play on the right. Exactly. I think probably Rodrigo Gomez again is one of them players that's considered for that position. But if Bueno goes and Rodrigo Gomez is the wing back, then you can't obviously do that. But yeah, I think the left 10 is interesting. I think, as I've said, because Fer Lopez's best games off the right and John Arias's best games off the right, I'm interested to see who plays off the left, because I tend to think Arias will play off the left because he has done so before, despite his best performances coming off the right. But if they have signed Fer Lopez and John Arias to play off the right, it's a very interesting strategy, I suppose. Talking Wolves is all good, but they kind of have their own platform. I'm in a group chat with Joshy, and he's actually really large bonus to the club. Maybe reach out. Yeah, I've spoken to Joshy a fair bit, mate. I'm sure it'll be something I do in the future, definitely. But it's not necessarily about that. I don't do this to like invade the space. I do it because I want to chat to people and get their opinions on things. And like I say, I'm quite good mates with Dave and stuff. And go back to when Dave helped me with my dissertation like nearly 2 years ago now. So. I've been in, and same with like people like Jason as well, the Wolf Whistle and stuff like that. So I've known a lot of the Wolves lads for a long time. It's just I've started actually putting my content on YouTube now instead of just leaving it in my drafts and just sitting there. So yeah. What's your outside shout for a potential signing for Wolves before the end of the window? Ooh, do you know what? That is a really cool question. I'll go. I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you an answer to that question per se. But a player I'd like to see Wolves go in for in the next 12 months, depending on the situation of their squad, of course. I think he's not. The thing is, though, he doesn't really solve any of their problems. But I just like him as a player. Diogo Leite from Union Berlin, Portuguese centre half. He's right-footed is the only issue. So Wolves don't particularly need that player, but I like him, and I think his contract runs out at the end of next season. I think he's got less than a year on his deal. I'm certain he has. Diogo Leite, Portuguese centre half, I think he's about 26 years old as well. I like him a lot, but again, I don't think he solves any of Wolves' issues. But outside shout for someone this window. The reason I say it's an outside shout is because I haven't seen Wolves in for him. Is Callum Doyle, because Wolves aren't in for him, which I find nuts that they're not in for him. But Callum Doyle would be for me. You know what I mean? That would be that would be the one for me. Just for Sunderland interest in a Pender. Yeah, it's outrageous, Proj, ain't it? It's absolutely outrageous. If they even get in negotiations with Luis Openda, that would be absolutely ridiculous. What a player! And leaving Leipzig for Sunderland would be absolutely insane, man. Is there any leagues you've watched that any young players have caught your eye? I mean, there's loads, but a lot of them are, like I say, quite known now, which is a shame because of accounts like Rising Stars on Twitter. Rodrigo Mora's unbelievable. Giovanni Quenda is unbelievable. So yeah, there's a few that I like, but again, as I say, a lot of people know about these players now. I like Nathan Zeze as well, French young centre half, played for Nantes last season. He's really, really good. So yeah, Nathan Zeze is one that I really, really like. 20 years old, French centre half. Yeah, keep an eye on him. He'll go on to have a top career. Yeah, potentially, Emily, I might do that in the future. Just probably not yet at the moment, I don't think. Looking at Portuguese, a lot of clubs getting involved, getting invested, like Australia and the new club of Vinny is invested. Yeah, Alverca have massively, I think they've signed 25 players now this window. Obviously, some of them are like, Obviously, Bastian Mapoyu and Chiquinho have gone there. So, yeah, they've got high aspirations they have. They want to break into that clutch of teams like Sporting, Braga, Benfica, that sort of thing. Lima going to Wrexham will hopefully get looked after by Cody. Mate, Cody playing Diags to Pedro Lima next season in the Championship. We will be there. Yeah, we will be there, mate. Vitor uses Rodrigo as an engine. Everyone is kind of tired. He gets subbed on since he's so fast. He's absolutely bombs past players and makes. Yeah, he's really dangerous impact player, definitely. I'm interested to see what happens with Rodrigo Gomez next season. I think he's a really interesting one going into next season. Yeah, Kajuste, yeah, he's top, mate. Ipswich has had a ridiculous window, man. Hayden Hackney coming in. Looks like he's going to come in. Kajuste as well. I mean, ridiculous, isn't it? Looking forward to seeing Arias tomorrow. Yeah, everyone wants to see those players, don't they? Definitely. Could you see a situation where Rodrigo gets used as a left 10? Yeah, I could see that situation happening. Would I do it? I'm not too sure, but yeah, I could see it happening. Yeah, the Evan Gesson stuff is so interesting, wasn't it? Obviously, it looked like Wolves were in negotiations with him and Nice at one point, and then obviously he was linked to Palace. That seems to have fell through. Marseille have been interested. Just generally, it's been a bit of a mad window for Gesson. I thought he was going to get a big move, but he hasn't yet. What's your favourite Wolves versus Liverpool match you've watched, Connor? Great question. I can give you my least favourite as well. My least favourite was definitely the one at Anfield when Andy Vyman scored and Stearman scored and held across to move the free kick 10 yards forward. I will never forgive you, mate. But yeah, that was my least favourite. And then my favourite was probably 2020, end of 2020. Was it start of 2021? Can never remember. In and around that period anyway. Liverpool absolutely walk in the Premier League, go to Wolves, have a really tough game. Jimenez scores a lovely header in that game. Traore runs down the line, crosses it in, brilliant header. I was at the game as well in the Wolves end. Brilliant header. And then Bobby Firmino just toe pokes it in the top corner last minute and does what he does. Henderson scores a weird, shoulder as well off a corner. But yeah, that 2-1 win was probably my favourite game, just because of, not even in terms of because it was dominated, but obviously it was nice to go and watch it, and the atmosphere at the Molyneux was when the Molyneux atmosphere was unbelievable, especially from that sort of period of 2018 to 2020. That was absolutely bouncing to go around Molyneux at that time. Do you think Wolves are going to get relegated this season? If not, what position do you think we'll finish? Wolves won't be relegated this season, mate. No. I think currently with the current squad, you'll finish about 15th, 16th. If you address all the positions you need to address and the depth and stuff like that, I think 12th, 13th, something around there. Maybe 11th. Who would you pick as another number 9? Another number 9? Bloody hell. The number 9 market's so weird because obviously Strand Larsen's such a throwback of a number 9, isn't he? So do Wolves go for a similar profile? Do they go for a completely different profile? I've said that, Adley would have been a brilliant signing because he can play off that right, can play off the left as a 10 in both of those pockets and play as the 9. So he would have been my number 9 for Wolves, as I said, when you initially linked with him. So he would have been my 9, but I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, Tyler, mate, hope you're well. Things with the Sanchez situation. If the Sargas round in Pubia didn't happen and Wolves weren't used to agent talks, no one would even second guess the deal. Yeah, they probably. I think they would second guess it, but people would be definitely more optimistic about it. 100% agree. Wolves Liverpool a couple of seasons ago, Wolves got a convincing win, was a fan favourite of mine. Yeah, I thought it would be when Liverpool were just absolutely dreadful that season, absolutely awful. Terrible. Just couldn't believe we got done by Lopetegui. Crikey. Of all managers to get done by. Danny's gone to pretty much every club and has never been liked at any of them, other than the ones when he actually did relatively well and won stuff. But yeah, that was a mad period of football. To be fair, absolutely mad period of football. Heard rumours about Yuri Alberto, who would be great up front with Jorgen Larsen. Didn't he fracture his spine or fracture something in his spine? It was definitely a spine injury, a serious spine injury. Let me just check. I know it was an injury. Let me just find it. Yeah, lumbar spine fracture, yeah. So he was looking likely, really likely to come to Wolves as well. And ultimately it fell through. But yeah, he was looking really likely. Really likely. Not too bad, Harry, mate. How are you? Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I hope you're having a nice start to your weekend as well. But yeah, the Yuri Alberto stuff, like I say, a lumbar spine fracture. Sorry. Yeah. Heard we were linked with Molina. I think that's all died down now. Obviously, the Pubia deal naturally sparked a bit of, started the rumour mill, didn't it? Obviously, they signed a young right back. Molina played a lot last season, but didn't complete that many 90s. And yeah, not really the most loved player in that position. So yeah, that was always going to stay. That was always going to happen with the Pubia sort of deal. That was always going to be a start the rumour mill, but I don't think there was any weight in it. As much as I did a video saying I'd love to see him sign, that was before the rumour started as well. But yeah, ultimately I don't think that's going to happen now. Molina is staying. Yes, he is. He is indeed. But again, he's not one of them players. He's a really good player for a player like Pubia to learn from at Atleti. Because he's got so much skin in the game. He's got so much experience. Even though he's not, like 33 or whatever, he's not anywhere near that age. But I think he's 27, Molina, I believe. The situation of Juanlu to Wolves is getting intense. The player wants to move to Napoli, and Wolves are multiple right back shortlisted. Which right back would you go for? For me, Ratiu from Vallecano. Is he still at Vallecano? I think he is. I know he's Romanian and he's got some mad haircuts, but yeah, Ratiu is a really good player. He's rapid as well. He's really quick, and he's got that he's got that bit of needle that I like in a player, especially in a defensive player. Ratiu, he's got that needle that I think would be welcomed at Wolves. I think it'd be make him a fan favourite. But yeah, I think Ratiu is a top player, mate. It's a really good link in my opinion. I really like that. Do you see a last minute swoop for Ivanovic? Probably not, mate. No, to be honest, I think as mad as it is, I do think probably Hwang and Sasa stay around the club if not one of them gets loaned out and one of them stays. I think Fabio and Guedes are the two most likely to go. I mean, Guedes' wages alone is a reason to try and sort of, move him on out of all of them, really. But yeah. Yes, I did just speak about Ivanovic, mate, but I don't see that happening personally. But yeah. If Wolves didn't want to pay now, would they accept a loan to buy? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. Actually, maybe, because he has been on a hell of a lot of loans, mate. So maybe, yeah. If it was a loan with an obligation, probably, yeah. But like I say, he's not played in the Premier League, as you've said there as well. So maybe, yeah. What about the goalkeeper situation? Because Bentley's been pants in pre-season so far. Well, Johnston's going to go this summer, or you'd like to hope. You really hope, to be honest. Sarr will be dealt with in the next 18 months to 24 months, really. So I wouldn't be surprised at that happening eventually. But no, I think the goalkeeper situation is. I mean, you're a Jose Sarr injury away from a League One keeper in Tom King or Bentley, probably even less than League One, to be honest, Tom King. But yeah, Dan Bentley's probably less than League One as well, to be fair. But you should do Prem predictions every game week since Ogden do it a lot before. Yeah, the thing is, I like original content. I want to do original content, but it might be something I delve into, try and do it in a different way. Maybe get a fan on every week from a club. Even if I don't watch a lot of every team in the league, maybe get a fan on of a different club every week. So that'll take us to 20 game weeks, and then we'll be just over halfway through the season. And then we could try and do a different fan of every club, maybe. So, like, Wolves have got, for example, I could speak to Dave one week, and then at the end of it, for the next 19 or whatever, I could speak to another one. But yeah, I don't know. If you could interview any footballer in the world, who would you want to interview? Ooh, for me, I've interviewed some of them, to be fair. Like I've always been really fascinated by Vincent Kompany. I know that sounds mad, but especially when he was a manager, I was really fascinated by him tactically. I thought he was really, really exciting to watch in the Championship. And I got to interview him after the Blues-Burnley game. So he was one of them that I'd wanted to interview at that time that I would have loved to speak to. And I got to speak to him. So he was definitely one of them. But for me, I just think I just can't look past Steven Gerrard, personally. It's just one of them. If I could meet any footballer, it would be him. But yeah, probably Stevie G, to be honest. Just said that because I think Doyle would really suit Wolves, and surprised I haven't gone in for him. Yeah, I think Doyle would really suit Wolves as well, Kean. He was on my video for homegrown players. So, yeah, 100%. 100%, I think he'd suit Wolves. He plays that left centre-back role differently to Totti as well. He's more of a long-range passer, more of a ball-playing defender. Now, Totti's a ball-playing defender, but he plays it differently. Totti very much links up with the full-backs and steps into sort of that midfield area, whereas Callum Doyle steps in and even further and sometimes continues his runs, and he's got that lovely diagonal switch to the wing-back or to the right 10 in Wolves' case, or the wing-back as well. And generally, he's got that sort of long-range pass in him that I don't think you associate with Totti too much. Totti has him on the race, sort of clips it down the channel. I don't think his diags are particularly unbelievable, but yeah, Callum Doyle is one of them. He offers a lot from deep. Do you think Wolves should go for Millwall number 9? He's all right backup, but I just think 15 mil for a backup. I don't know. I'm really torn on Ivanovic. I like him as a player, and I like his physical stature, and I think he brings, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. He's an interesting one. He's an interesting profile. You think Javi Guerra can be a good option for Wolves? Now, I think I spoke about him. When did I speak about Javi Guerra? Was that recently? I think it was. Well, it might have been a while ago, to be fair. Again, though, I worry because he's another young player. And I know Concept Scouting was speaking about it the other day, like on the podcast with Dave. He was saying, like, Wolves have got all these project players or a lot of these young players, and they could still do with a bit of experience. And John Arias is a right step in that direction, in my opinion. I think they could do with a bit more of that sort of 25 to 28, 27 range of player where they've got a lot of skin in the game. But yeah, Javi Guerra is a brilliant footballer. But again, it's one of them, like, and I think they want like 30 million euros for him, which again is quite risky when you've already spent 20 million euros on Fer Lopez as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't think he's related to Tommy Doyle, no. I will check it for you. I can check it for you maybe, but I don't think so, mate, no. Your knowledge reminds me of Stumpeg. She is brilliant, and I think you could be the same. Yeah, Stumpeg's... I've been watching Stumpeg for, pretty much ever since she started. I think when she had, like, 5k subscribers or something on YouTube. I was a massive fan of her. I thought her content is outrageously good. She is a fountain of knowledge when it comes to football, and that's one thing that I hope to do one day. And I'd like to think I know my stuff. I like to think anyway. So, but yeah, excited for the Prem massively, mate. Yeah, really excited this year. Mainly because of the activity of all the teams in the bottom half, really, or the lack of for some as well. I think the Palace stuff, Palace have had a really poor window for a club that I thought would want to kick on. Looks like they haven't kicked on. There's been a lot of drama surrounding the club as well. And then, Brentford, manager change, massive player overhaul as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting with them. Brighton, what a window. In terms of names, most of you probably won't know any of them. But in terms of profiles and players, they've got some serious talent. Again, they've scouted really, really well. And I've spent a lot more money than people realise, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of clubs I'm excited to watch this season. What's your thoughts on the Away Days YouTube channel? Massive fan of Ellis, mate. Again, the same with him. Watched him ever since he was a tiny channel, and he used to do like charity shop football shirt hunts and stuff like that. And yeah, Ellis is like probably my dream guest to have on a pod, to be honest. He's one of them that I've always been a massive admirer of, and I watch every single piece of content he puts out on social, on YouTube, everywhere. I just think in terms of a football channel, he is the blueprint for an absolute success of a football channel. And obviously being a football shirt collector myself, I absolutely love everything he does, really. Predictions for the first match against City. I'll go 3-1 loss. That's going to, and I'm not pessimistic, as you lot all know, but I just think Wolves could surprise. No, I'll go 3-1 because I think you will be in the game, but I think eventually City will just take it away from you, which is crap, really. But that's just how I see it. I hope you don't take that to heart too much. Who's your dark horses? Dark Dark horse is hard because is there any dark horses anymore? Like everyone expects Forest, Bournemouth, Brighton to be competitive in games. So they're three teams that expect to be competitive. I think probably dark horses. Dark horses. That is a question. I will go Bournemouth again. I know they had a good season last year, but everyone seems to think they're going to go like from here to like not even on the scale because of the players they've lost. Obviously lost Hoyson, lost Kirkes, and obviously lost Kepa as well. You know, a big miss for them last season. Really, really good. But when you look at the players they've brought in to replace those players and the players they've got coming through as well. I mean, Eli Junior Krupi last season for Lorient was absolutely outrageous. French talent. They've had him on their books now for a year and a bit, and he will start next season. There's my player to watch for next season. And I will do a video about that because last year I did it. Now, I want to know your thoughts here. Let me know if you think this is good. Now, last year I did on Twitter, I did my 3 players to watch. Now, I think I pretty smashed it. I smashed it, really. One of them is debatable, but I did actually say in the tweet, game time permitted. So this is why. Now, my first one was Jean-Rick Bellegarde. Now, he had his best season in a Wolves shirt, I would personally say. And he had some really good performances. As I said, game time permitted, didn't play a hell of a lot. But I do think he improved quite a bit. So Jean-Rick Bellegarde was not a bad one. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's as bad as you can get. The other two were Cody Gakpo and Morgan Rogers. And for me, they went to another level last season. So I think they're decent predictions. But I was thinking of doing a video about that as well. So I might potentially do that. Daz and Dave mentioned before that Wolves might sign 2 players from Valencia. Did he? Yeah, I never saw that. I didn't see that. Who from Valencia out of interest? I think Nottingham Forest will struggle a lot. I think they've improved their squad now. And I know it sounds mad because I said they had a poor window the other day, but Dan Doyle is better than Alanga or as good as Alanga. And I think in this system would reach Alanga's level, if not surpass him. So I don't know. I don't think they've had that bad of a window. Obviously, they kept Gibbs White as well. So yeah, I don't think it's been that bad for Forest. Yeah, Truffert is outrageous. That's what I mean, Kian. Truffert is ridiculous. He's got a hell of a set piece on him, Truffert, as well. Another goal threat for Bournemouth next season that they didn't have too much of last season. Haven't really had since Harry Wilson, that much really as well. So for me, yeah, Truffert's a top player. And then obviously George Petrovic from Chelsea. I think he's, quite very expensive for a keeper, around £25 million. But equally, again, a player that wasn't necessarily ready for Chelsea when he came through there. Had a good game against Liverpool and stuff like that. Made some really big saves at points, but generally wasn't unbelievable. Went out to Liam Rosenior's Strasbourg side and learned how to play the ball at his feet. There's not many better managers you can learn from to play that type of football. Russell Martin and Liam Rosenior are 2 of them that I think a lot of goalkeepers will improve playing under. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale's, the exception. But in terms of, like I say, getting on the ball, they're the type of players that want the keepers to have they're the type of managers that want the keepers to have the ball. And I think Petrovic came on leaps and bounds last season with Strasbourg, was unbelievable in Liga, and obviously managed to get Champions League football with them as well. Just absolutely ludicrous. So Petrovic again, really good replacement for Kepa Arrizabalaga as well. Hwang is my dark horse. That's an interesting shout, mate. You might get shot down for that one, but I will come back to this. I will back it, mate. All right. I will. I'm not going to shoot you down for it. Absolutely not. So we will come back to it. All right. We will come back to that. I think Sasa will score quite a few if he stays at the club off the bench, or even start with Strand Larsen if he gets a few off the bench. See, I think the idea of Strand Larsen and Collabs starting together petrifies me. I think it'd be perfect. Last 10 minutes, final 10 minutes, get Lopez off the right, get, I don't know, someone off the left, whoever plays off the left. I think Arias might, as I've said multiple times, but get someone off the left, get the balls into that box. I'm telling you, I think Kiana Herver's delivery would be perfect for that last few minutes as well. Last 15 minutes, Herver comes on as the wing back. 2 big lads in the mixer. Old-fashioned football. Get it in there. Hwang had one good season, and that's when we should have sold him. I agree. One consistent season, anyway. And even then, he wasn't that consistent, I suppose. But it was his best season in a Wolves shirt, anyway. And he's always been one of these players that scores in flutters, in patches, hasn't he? So, Sasa and Larson against some Sunderland or something when we're drawing could be good. Yeah, just against a side that doesn't defend defend set pieces well. Now, unfortunately, Wolves are one of those sides that don't defend set pieces well. So equally, again, say Wolves are 2-1 up, 5 minutes to go, and you're under the cosh, maybe against like a City or an Arsenal or a side that's significantly better than you, and you're 2-1 up, you're managing to hold on to the game. I think Collabs is good for a game like that as well. A player that you can bring on. He'll head every set piece away. You'd like to think anyway. He'll head set pieces away. He'll just put in the hard yards for 5 or 10 minutes. Just ask him to do that. And like I say, lump the ball up to him, hold it up, make it stick, win a free kick, something like that. For those type of game states, he would be perfect for, in my opinion. So yeah, I think stuff like that he could be more than useful for next season. Keep Sasa for impact sub, Neil says. And yeah, again, similar to what I just briefly touched on, really. I think those sort of scenarios and situations, I think he could be useful for, really. But yeah, so I think it's an interesting one. Good afternoon, Connor. Been enjoying the content recently. Keep it up. Cheers, Ryan, mate. I appreciate that. Hell of a lot. Thank you, mate. It's always nice to see people interacting in the comments, and obviously people that sometimes don't interact in the live streams as well, coming into the lives. I interact with everyone in the comments as well. That's my aim. So I appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. I feel Wolves should go for Georges Mikautadze from Lyon. It's a bit unrealistic, but he can play as a striker and a centre forward. It is unrealistic, yeah. Obviously, really, really excited player. And Wolves were linked with him when he was at Metz, though, weren't they? So I don't think it's that unrealistic. I think it's been pretty publicly available that information that Wolves have admired Mikautadze for a long time. And obviously, like you say, he can play multiple positions. Similar, really, in a way, to Adley. I do think he can play the 10 quite relatively well as well. So, yeah, Mikautadze is one of them. Wolves have wanted him, been interested in him for a long time. Whether he suits his current system remains to be seen. Whether he'd come and sit on the bench, I'm almost certain he wouldn't. He does have that swagger and that bit of arrogance about him, so I don't think he'd come in and be a rotational striker, but I do like him as a player, mate, definitely. Any rooms on forwards we're targeting? Not at the moment, Charlie. No, mate, not at the moment, unfortunately. But if anything does happen, if anything goes on, as I say, you lot have been quite sort of positive about the way I report on things and how quick I get content out. So again, if there's any Wolves updates as I come off this live in the next few hours, there will be a video out within an hour of that news. I can almost guarantee it. Which that makes me sound like I'm being cocky, but I'm just quite confident I can get a video out and turn it around in that time. So I do hope that, potentially that happens, because I do get quite a good rush from putting videos out that quickly and enjoy them. So what's for dinner? Salmon pasta, I believe. I've got salmon pasta today with like a what is it, like a lemony yogurty sauce thing. Yeah, it's nice, mate. It's nice. Mikautadze, I'd love him. Yeah, he'd be great. Is that Fofana from Lyon still off to Everton? He's been heavily linked, and it was negotiations were advanced and stuff, but I don't think he is. It's a weird one, isn't it? He's a ridiculous player. If Everton could get him, by the way, what a signing that'd be. I mean, Liverpool wanted him at one point in the last few months. He'd be a great signing, man. Really would. Really like Malik Fofana. It's a shame we couldn't get Dios, who's ended up with Betis. He's a player I've watched him for Monterrey. That's another league that I've covered a hell of a lot of as well. Yes, South American football, especially Mexican football. Monterrey have got some players, mate. There's players in that division that have got ability, mate. Like I think people, it's sneered on, isn't it? Like really, really sneered on. But yeah, Nelson Diosa for me, I think he's top, mate. I think, what did he get last season? Like, was it? I want to say I think he got a goal contribution every 4 games from centre mid or something. So far, anyway. So yeah, top man, love your work, mate. Thank you, appreciate that. I don't want to see forward rumours until he sells some forwards you already have. Yeah, I don't think you will be either. It's Saturday night, Connor. Get out on the beer. Not tonight, mate. Not tonight. Do you use specific people for sources for transfer news, since you can get videos out so quick after rumours? No, not really. Not really. I've got sources and stuff that I speak to or message or ask questions about. Ask questions to, sorry. But no, I don't have any specific sources. I just, I know the sources to trust and not to trust, if you know what I mean, Emily. So, I think about 2.5 years into uni, I sort of put a list together. This is so nerdy, by the way. So for anyone who doesn't care about this, plug your ears for 10 seconds. But when I was at uni, I compiled a full list of like a spreadsheet of journalists from each country, which ones are the most reliable in their country, which ones are the least reliable about news in other countries, So often you get, like, for example, Fabrizio Romano as a journalist is actually extremely unreliable when it comes to Everton news. Like, he just is. And weirdly, that sounds mad because he's reliable about a lot of clubs. When it comes to Everton, he's just not. Paul Joyce, for me, is the best across Merseyside. So for me, he would, example, go in, be highlighted green for Merseyside, be highlighted green for Liverpool and Everton and Tranmere and stuff like that. So, they would all be colour-coded like a little nerd I am, but that is essentially how I do it. And I still use that to this day, so it's useful. Where are Liverpool? And obviously, I update it if journalists get a bit more gravitas as well. Where are Liverpool finishing this year? I think you know the answer to that. I think we all know the answer to that, don't we? I think we just, let's just park it a second. Let's just, 25 points clear. You've heard it here first. Anyway, what's the chances Fabio Silva stays at the club, and how could it happen? I think the chances are very slim, to be honest. Again, his contract's not particularly lengthy at Wolves. He's been there a long time. I just think Fabio Silva's one of them players that he's just never going to click with Wolves, personally. Will you watch tomorrow's game? I will, mate. Yes, I will watch tomorrow's game. In fact, there'll be a video tomorrow about it. Of course I will. There'll be a video tomorrow about the game, and there'll be a video tomorrow about something else, probably. I'm usually doing 2 at the minute a day because I absolutely love. I'm in the flow state of just putting videos out. I absolutely love it. So there might be 2 tomorrow. You never know, depending on how busy I am. I've got a lot of stuff to do, though. So, yeah. What uni did I go to? Liverpool John Moores, mate. Liverpool John Moores graduated last year. So, yeah. Whoever wins gets a trophy. Indeed, mate, yeah. Might have 7 in the spreadsheet, or might need that for uni next year. It honestly, just if you can, just spend a few hours every day or an hour every day at the end of every day looking at what journalists people use for links. Sometimes Fabrizio Romano will put, like, as per reported by David Ornstein. Now, David Ornstein is the most reliable journalist in the United Kingdom, in my personal opinion, when it comes to most clubs. Other than Liverpool, the only person I'd listen to for Liverpool news before him is Paul Joyce. But often David Ornstein breaks most of it these days. So, I'm surprised we haven't took Brownhill as a squad option. Good player, he's on a free. Yes, but the things with Brownhill as well is he's been offered a long-term contract at Leicester now, I believe. And I said Brownhill should have come in a while ago. So, yeah. Yeah, Cody for 2 mil for his leadership and championship experience. I think it's decent, mate, yeah. But, yeah, I think it's decent, mate. 2 mil, good player. Getting towards the end of his contract. We paid handsomely. If they do well, he's going to be known as, by a bigger fan base than he would be generally sitting around the Premier League and languishing in the Championship with Leicester. So, yeah, I think it's a good deal for him as a player. Also, if there's 50 people in it, there's 50 people in and out. If there's 7 of you who haven't subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it. We are 7 subscribers away from 1.6k. Now, I can't believe I'm saying that considering we hit 1.5k yesterday, but we are 7 subscribers away from 1.6k. So I would really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. It would mean a hell of a lot to me personally. And if you are watching this back, if you're not currently in the live stream and you're watching this back as a video when it is released after the live has gone down, then I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe as well. I really would. Is Brownhill good enough for the Prem, though? For a team that wants experience off the bench and for a team that doesn't want to give him a ridiculous amount of minutes, yeah, he's fine. That's why I think he'd be perfect for Wolves. He's got, 460-odd games in senior football? 461 games, I believe, in senior football. A lot of them in the Premier League, about 111 in the Prem or something. So, yeah. It was class when Cody played for England and showing that having English players, really. Yeah, exactly. The homegrown thing is still an issue as well, funnily enough. Which football club would you like to see a documentary on? I think Man United, a documentary on Manchester United would go to the moon. It would be incredible. I would love it. Obviously, Amorim blocked it, but it would have been hilarious to see how that club is run and how it goes on in the dressing room. It would have been brilliant. But other than that, I'd love to see a documentary on Sheffield Wednesday because what's going on there is just disgusting, man. It's just grim. Same with Morecambe as well at the minute. It's just grim. Same with Reading as well. Obviously recently, I think that would be another one that I'd like to see just to sort of understand it and sort of, I think it'd be a really dramatic sort of emotional documentary to watch. So Josh Holden is a squad option. I think so. Not a starter. Yeah. That's the thing, Ryan. I think he'd be perfect for that roll. Congrats on passing 1.5k. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Thank you. We're 7 away from 1.6. So I just can't believe that. It's absolutely crazy. Do you think Liverpool get Isak? Yeah, I think Liverpool will go back in for him, mate. Despite all the news, I think it's I think eventually Newcastle will just show their hand, to be honest. That's why Fosun underrated. They wouldn't let that happen. They've given us immunity from that due to slow and steady. That's why Fosun underrated. They wouldn't let that happen, and they've given us immunity from that due to slow and steady growth. Yeah, I'm not saying that Fosun are terrible. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if the lack of ambition continues and the lack of it's all well and good being in the Premier League, and it's not comfortably being in the Premier League. Like, I know it might seem like that because of the points gap and stuff last season, but ultimately it's until what, February, March, it was still, nowhere near comfortable. So I think the aspiration to go on and build on what Wolves have already got is the issue, and selling every player is sustainable. Sell to buy is sustainable. Liverpool have done it for years, but at some point you've got to take that next step. And obviously there's no PSR issues now, so it's a mad one. And obviously Wolves have had so many outgoings, which makes it more concerning. And equally, again, look how many wages are off the books now. So there's not that many excuses really. I'd rather a Brazilian midfielder, lol. How do you feel about players like Isak just forcing moves when clubs clearly don't want to sell? It's the way football's gone, Charlie, unfortunately. Players have got more power now than they ever have had. Simple. That's just how it is, and we have to accept it, really, as football fans, unfortunately. We've done really well in the South American market. Yeah, massively, massively. I mean, I say that, but, like, the players you signed weren't unknowns, if you know what I mean. Like, João Arias was by far the best player in Brazil in the last 18 months, really. Andre, again, was wanted by Liverpool, Fulham, Inter Milan. Like, Andre was wanted by almost every club. I mean, Liverpool were looking at him for like 60 million euros at one point, and then ultimately Wolves managed to snap up for a ridiculous fee just a few months later, about a season later, I think it was actually. But generally, not an unknown player. João Gomez, again, not an unknown player. But the fees is the impressive part, not the fact that you've signed them. I don't think the scouting is particularly unbelievable, but the actual fact that you've signed those caliber of players for the fees is absolutely ludicrous. It's incredible. Why do you think Sangare never really worked at Nottingham Forest in the Prem? I think he's had injuries, Sangare. I think that's a bit unfair. He's had a lot of injuries, and ultimately, look at that Nottingham Forest midfield as well. It's not an easy one to break into. It's just a very sort of functional midfield. I think he'll have a bigger part to play. Sangare. Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh with Sangare. I think he's his injuries haven't helped his development or career really in the Premier League. So yeah. I mean, obviously he's 27 now as well, Sangare. So he's not even really hit his his prime years yet either. So he's still got time. Fosun promised to do up the ground and they haven't. The ground is not in great condition. Do you agree, and what's your opinion? Oh, bloody hell, a wasp. But yeah, Fosun, I mean, look, like I say, I think people are very harsh on Fosun in some ways. I think they're very valid in some ways. I think sometimes people just want to point the blame at Fosun for the sake of pointing the blame at them as well. But with the ground, I completely echo your sentiment with the ground. I just couldn't agree more. It just looks terrible, if we're being honest. Someone, they've done a bit of painting on the bollards and that about a year ago, didn't they? But generally, there's a lot needs doing to the ground, especially the Steve Bull, especially when you walk down the road. Like, it's just, it's not great. Like, needs a lick of paint, like, and a bit more than that. Yes, mate, I am a Liverpool fan, mate. Yes, but yeah, it's just, it needs a lot of doing up, doesn't it? Really, if we're being completely honest. Yes, Josh, mate. How are we? Yeah, the Steve Bull doesn't look ideal, like when you're walking down the road. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, again, like, is it a priority? It probably should be. But again, how many? There is still equally bigger issues. But then again, people lose sympathy when you see the esports stuff, don't they? It's all esports and that's the focus. So again, I'm very not on the fence, but I sit in the middle. I see all the bad points. I see some of the good points. The self sustainability model, it does work. And Wolves would rather be stable in the Premier League than whatever's gone on in the past. Do you know what I mean? Wolves would rather be stable in the Premier League than when the Batty brothers are in charge and stuff. So yeah, it's all about being sustainable. So again, from that perspective, it's good. In terms of going to the next level again and the ambition, it just feels like it's just a bunch of empty words, really, isn't it? I do make videos on Liverpool as well, mate, funnily enough. If I just get my list up, hang on, let me just put... I think some of my most viewed videos are on Liverpool, funnily enough, mate. Let me just have a check. I will just check that's not lies. More than 3. Let's go more than 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 of my 10 best videos are Liverpool videos. Well, you won't see that because it's a. But you got the how Florian Wirtz fits video. You've got the how PSG have influenced Liverpool's transfer strategy video, the perfect signs for Liverpool this summer video, and an interview with Chris from Redmen TV and Chloe Bloxham as well. So yeah, some of my best ever videos are Liverpool videos, mate. Will Bueno be staying to compete with Wolfe, or will he leave? Do you think? I think Bueno's. But I wouldn't be against Bueno going because I think Rodrigo Gomez could be. I don't think they're too dissimilar as wing backs. I think Rodrigo Gomez isn't a ridiculous drop off from Bueno personally, and I think obviously it's a good time to cash in on him if Wolves do cash in on him. But I do think he'll stay around. Do you think we should scrap Molyneux and build a new stadium? No, I wouldn't scrap Molyneux, mate. No, too much history and stuff like that, mate. But no, I wouldn't scrap it. I just think it needs a bit of paint, mate. A bit of development and a bit of paint. Does look like a bomb's hit it at certain points. I've done it, to be fair. Bellegarde, Larsen, Arias, front three, thoughts? Yeah. Maybe. I mean, the issue, as I've said multiple times in this live stream, and I will be jumping off very soon, probably jump off in about 5 minutes. Ultimately, Arias' best football has been played off the right. Fer Lopez's best football is played off the right. So, who plays off the left? Do you know what I mean? I think Arias will play off the left. People keep doubting it, but I do think that's the most likely thing. And I think tomorrow will give us a good indication. The water bottle's massive. It is indeed, mate. Bellegarde's a great squad player. Big emphasis on squad. Yeah, he is. He is a squad player. I wouldn't be starting him week in, week out, like, personally. But again, he's a good squad player because he can play so many positions. And you need those. You need those type of players. You do need those type of players, really. Every squad needs those type of players, no matter what level you're at, whether you're challenging for titles or you're languishing in and around the bottom of the league. Every squad needs them. So, I mean, James Milner's a prime example for Brighton. I mean, he's never going to play a million games a season still. I mean, he was unlucky last year because of injuries. But again, one player that can play left back, right back, 6, 8, as a right midfielder, as a left midfielder, if you really need him to, roll back the years. But I wouldn't personally do that. But yeah, every squad needs them, don't they? I mean, Liverpool don't win what they did without a James Milner in the squad. So, would you want Manetzi starting as it stands? I think opening day Manetzi starts because I don't think Fer Lopez will be thrust in against City. Would I want Manetzi to start the rest of the season? Maybe not. Maybe not. I think his work rate is absolutely key for the team. But if Fer Lopez works hard, then and he's got more technical quality, I don't see why he wouldn't play. Do you know what I mean? Just prefer Bellegarde and Manetzi. I mean, Bellegarde's a better technical footballer. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know. It's hard, that one. It is a hard question. Probably, again, they're both sort of squad players, really, in my opinion. I think ultimately, like Manetti's one of them players that was key last year, but I don't think you can move forward if Manetti's starting every week as your 10, really. If you go back and check time and change one Liverpool transfer to happen or not to happen, which transfer would you pick? Ooh. Which transfer to happen or not to happen? Not to happen, Lazar Markovic. Or not to happen, Ricky Lambert. Or not to happen, Mario Balotelli. Or not to happen, probably more not to happens, to be honest. Don't really get that many wrong. Probably not to happen, Naby Keita, maybe. But even then, he scored some big goals, especially in the season Liverpool won the league. So, I don't know. I don't want Manetzi to start. Attack should be Bellegarde, Arias, Larson. In your opinion, how many goals will Jurgen and Strand Larson score this season? I'm going to go 16 in the Premier League. I'll go 20 in all comps. I think Manetzi is great against those City, Liverpools, etc. Excellent at pressing, make space, transition, but against the bottom half of the table where we'll have the ball, Lopez is better. That is pretty much exactly how I see it as well. Against those sides, we need to break teams down. Against Burnley, Fer Lopez plays. Do you know what I mean? But against City, Liverpool, Manetzi's there. Have you noticed every signing we make now has played with a player in our team, either national team or they used to play at the same club? Oh, do you mean like, for example, Fer Lopez and Jurgen Strand Larsen both played at Celta Vigo? Is that what you mean? I assume that's what you mean. I think. Or like Arias with Andre, or I assume that's what you mean. But so I'm going to jump off in 2 minutes. So if anyone wants to ask any more questions, get them in because we've got 2 minutes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Wolfe, with Larson, Unbelievable agent, Jurgen Strand Larsen, mate. Unbelievable. They did a big Cunha one when Andre signed and that, and like Pedro Lima and stuff. So I'm expecting. Where's the Larson agent video, man? What we doing here? But I think he's interesting. I mean, I said that Wolf should have been all over Oscar Mingueza, but from Celta Vigo again, funnily enough. But it doesn't look like they're even ever going to go in for him, which I thought it would have been unbelievable. Would have been an unbelievable deal. It's a real shame. He's a player that I love, man. I really like him. And I liked him at Barca when he came through. Just didn't look Barcelona level at that time. And obviously it was locked down as well, so. Just join the chat. What do you think will happen with Renan? Not a lot at the minute, mate. Wolves are not in any like sort of advanced negotiations with him. It's just known that really that they admire him and Vitor Pereira wants him. So, I don't know. I don't think much will happen with Renan. I don't think much will happen with Renan this week, but this weekend. Maybe next week, going into the end of the week, but I don't know. I just don't think he's going to... I don't know how likely he is to come. I'm not sure I'm overly confident in him sort of signing, really, but, he's a good link to have nonetheless. And ultimately, Wolves are, again, shopping in the right markets. As I've said multiple times, they might not be getting players through the door, but Pubia, Samuel Lino, ultimately, they were never going to get them to with the teams that were in for them. They just weren't. And this is why the Juan Luis Sanchez stuff has a lot of negativity around it as well. But it's an interesting one. Hopefully we can get them better because Vitinha played for us. Can't we get Bully fixed up? I know, mate. Right, everyone, I think that's a good place to leave it, I think. If you are in here and you're not subscribed, I don't think I've seen you subscribe, Potluck, maybe, or I haven't seen you in the chat before, I don't think, anyway. I really appreciate you all being in here today. It's been absolutely brilliant. We have got five subscribers, away from 1.6k, which would be absolutely brilliant. So I'd appreciate it if you really could subscribe to the channel if you are not already, because I've really enjoyed this live and we'll be doing a lot more of these as we go on. Do you think Wolves are missing a trick with the women's team? Like teams like Villa and Man City have made millions buying them back. A bit dodgy, but I don't know if it helps. Yeah, but the Wolves team don't generate enough. This is the issue, and that's the issue. And I don't really like it morally, personally, but that's just me. Here we go soon. There will be a video if there's a here we go. Yeah, of course there will. But thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, like the live. Maybe drop your comments when it comes out as a video as well. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video or live stream. See you later.